Good morning, guys. Welcome to TMX Adventures. Lisa here. Hey, look, today we're going to talk about the very first thing you need to make when you get a Thermomix. And if you've already got one on the bench, then you need to get making this because it will save you so much money. It is such a flavor enhancer in your food and it will last a long time. So come with me today. I'm going to teach you how to make veggie stock in your Thermomix. It is phenomenal, full of these amazing ingredients you can see on that camera there. And it's so incredibly simple. Like, it is not hard. You do not get stuck in the kitchen for long. Well, actually, you're barely in here at all. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to show you the blending part at the end. If you're on Facebook, you'll need to go check that out later, okay? But before I get started today, I need to make mention something. Today is the 12th of August. That means it is the end of the cutter promotion. So if you have been thinking about getting a TM6 on the bench and you live in Australia, today is the day. It expires today. You can get a free cutter. So that is the awesome bit that goes on the top. Can I get mine out without it falling down? This thing. $219 usually. You're getting it for free with the Thermomix, okay? So it turns your Thermomix into a food processor as well. Okay, so if you want to take that up, reach out. If you want payment options, things like that, like we've got Zip Money on 48 months interest free. So that's a really great way of getting it and paying it off gradually. The great thing about Zip is you actually can pay it off early. So if you get your tax return, you dump your money into it, you close the account, you're done. Like, it's fantastic, and it's like less than $3 a day. Like, it's affordable. You can make that money on your groceries. Like, you can literally save money buying groceries and put it towards your Thermomix, which is what a lot of people do. But anyway, enough of that. If you'd like information on that, reach out to me. I'd love to help you, and I'd love to help you get one on the bench if you live in Australia. This is an Australian promotion. Sorry, the rest of you, I know you'll watch on. And yeah, ends tonight, okay? So reach out, tell your friends and family if they've been thinking about it. It's an awesome offer and a very generous one from Thermomix in Australia. Please don't jump on the website and check out without a Thermomix consultant, okay? Put in my name, Lisa Keegan, or if you are already in touch with a consultant, make sure their name is put in above that checkout button so you're not just randomly allocated out, okay? So let's get on to veggie stock today. As I said, it's an absolute staple. Like, you need to have this in your pantry, in your fridge, sorry, not pantry. It goes in any savory thing in the place of salt, and it does something magical to the flavor of your food. Okay, you do not need to buy then beef stock, chicken stock, cubes, liquid stock. This becomes that replacement in everything. It broadens the flavor on your taste buds, okay, in essence. Now, I'm going to get this on and I'm going to show you how fast it is, because it is incredibly fast. Literally, you come back in 20 minutes and it's done. I've got a few tips to layer in as well today about what else you can be doing at the same time with your Thermomix, but let's get this cooking. It is on Cookidoo. You'll notice this actually, like, there's various veggie stocks, okay? You want this photo. There is one that's got mushrooms and parmesan. No need, okay? No need for that one. Pick the one that's got all the veggies, okay? And I'm going to do some swaps today because I don't have some of the ingredients in my pantry or my fridge. So I'm going to show you how I swap and my thinking behind what I swap with what, okay? So let's get started. Do say hi if you're watching on. If you're watching replays later, hello, Linda. I love that you watch on later. I know she kind of catches me and then she's like, I'll come back. She does, and I love that, Linda. Thanks for commenting and saying hi. So, by the way, just a little side note, that one with mushrooms and parmesan has the same photo. So you'll just have to look. If those of you who are Aussies and New Zealanders, it's in your basic cookbook. It usually comes up first when you type in veggie stock, usually. But sometimes, you know, if you've got your filters set with everybody, like I do, it can get a little confusing. All right, so just a little clause, scroll first and check, okay? All right, let's go start cooking, especially if you are going to shop for ingredients. Like, I'd actually suggest use what you've got in your fridge, and that's what I've done today. I didn't go shopping especially for veggie stock, and I've run out, okay? And I need to make tomorrow, I'm slow cooking a couple of lamb legs, and I need this stock, and that's exactly why I'm doing it, because I am out, and this stuff is a staple, all right? Now, as I said before, it lasts a long time. I think officially it says a couple of weeks in the basic cookbook, but as long as it smells good and it looks good and you've not cross-contaminated your spoon, it's okay. You'll know when it goes off. It grows white and foamy, you know, like your tomato paste does. Okay, that's the time to ditch it. I've never actually ever had one do that though. So yeah. Anyway, start cooking. Let's go. All right, 200 grams of celery. Now, I normally have celery in my freezer. last batch, I use the end of it. Now, why do I have it in my freezer? When I buy the celery, often a recipe calls for the stalks. And they say not the greens, right? So guess what I put in the freezer? I dice them up, I put them in an A4 glad bag, and I've got those greens, the leaves of the celery, to use in my stock. Now I'm all out. I literally, the last time I made stock, and I think I made it with you guys, I used the end of my A4 glad bag, and I have been using that, like it moved with me 3 years ago. Like those greens last a long time. So don't ever let things go to waste. Have yourself a big glad bag in your freezer, and as you've got carrot peels, as you've got zucchini ends, I eat them, but yeah, I know a lot of people don't, as you've got cucumber ends, as you've got a tomato looking a bit sad, put them in your glad bag, and then when you come to stock, you just put your frozen stuff in, okay? You do want to extend your cook time by 5 minutes for frozen food, but it's okay, it works fine. I don't have it today, so I was like, oh, what have I got? What have I got that is a water-dense food? Because celery is primarily water, and I was like, I have zucchinis. Okay, so here we go, in with zucchinis. I might just show you the bowl in a moment. Now, I guesstimated, I have not weighed any of this. I've just cut up like 3 zucchinis because it calls for more later. A couple of carrots. Oh, there we go, 2 carrots. Now, I've got funky carrots from our veggie patch. Okay, so homegrown, interesting looking ones. I had to cut the skin off because they were so wrinkly and dimply. It was really hard to wash the dirt off, so I had to cut it off. Usually tops and tails go in as well. Don't be scared of them, okay? I wouldn't have used carrot. I want to tell you something here. I wouldn't have used carrot or sweet potato in place of celery. Why not? I'm just giving you a second to think. Because it's too starchy, your final product will become too thick. When you go to blend it, it'll become really claggy, and it's actually okay. I've actually had many of the batches where I've had a really thick one, but you really do want it scoopable. Okay, it's a nicer, smoother finish. Okay, 1 onion. Now I've got kind of multiple parts of the onion. I went fishing in my fridge because sometimes we use portions of onions and the rest get left behind for a long time. So I went fishing. I've probably got more like nearly 2, okay? 1 fresh tomato. I had a sad tomato, okay? So, oh, where's my camera? It's not in the usual spot. So I've just cut it in half. Actually, to be honest, I think it's probably the first time in years I've put tomato into it. Generally speaking, I don't bother. I like it being more of that greeny color stock. And when you put the reds in, you can imagine the color it goes. Nothing wrong with it. It tastes amazing. It just looks a different color. Zucchini, here's that 1 zucchini cut into chunks. And as I said, I actually, like, my zucchinis usually go in. Where's that camera? I'm in a different place today. There it is. Okay, now you might, well, you can't yet see, but I'm going to show you in a second. My bowl is looking significantly full right now because I've got some big hunks of food in there. Let me just spin you around to the right spot today. There we go. You're going to stay. Let's see. Kinda. There we go. All right. It's looking really full, but that's okay because at the moment there's actually a lot of air in there amongst that food. Okay, so next, 2 garlic cloves. Now something a little different, and I've been doing this for years, okay, is if they're tiny little cloves with annoying skin on them, just chuck them in with the skin, okay? I promise you, you will not find a speck of that skin at the end. Promise. I've even done it at times with onions. We've grown onions are like little midgets, and I just chuck them in, skin and all. It blitzes it silky smooth every time, okay? So just chuck them in. Okay, bay leaf. I don't have one at the moment. Oh, I might have one in the spice rack. It will be a later thing. Okay, basil, fresh, leaves only. Okay, in my world, it's whatever comes off the plant, so that goes in. If you don't have these herbs, don't go shopping and spend $10 on fresh herbs, okay? Not unless you're buying the pot and you're going to plant it. Just use your dried herbs. Don't make it cost you a fortune, okay? It's too expensive to go buy them. Yes, buy a pot and plant it and let it grow by all means, or seeds or whatever, but don't go buy those fresh ones that you chop and put away. And if you, by chance you have, maybe you got them discounted, freeze the leftovers, okay? Just put them in glad bags, roll them up, put them in the freezer, name them, so that next batch you've at least got that, okay? Veggie stock's one of those things that nearly anything goes, and at the end it just smells like phenomenal veggies flavors cooking, but you can't go, oh my gosh, it's missing basil, or oh, I've missed the bay leaf. Like, you really can't pick the individual, which is why there's been times when I have done purely basil and only basil because I had basil out of control in the garden. There's been times when I've done purely parsley and only parsley. The one thing you'll never see me do is coriander, okay? No coriander in this kitchen. I don't mind the powdery stuff that you use in Italian, you know, not Italian, Indian cooking, but you won't see me put that. There's no greens, none of that green stuff here, okay? So anyway, sage, I don't have sage. Rosemary, I do have rosemary in the garden, so those go in. Next up, flat leaf parsley. Yes, I have some of that. In that goes. And you can see we're incredibly big at the moment. That's okay. I do have more to put in, some more solid stuff in a second. I'm going to show you how I'm going to sneak that in. Promise you this is going to be under the max line. Says put the lid on. I've got a few more bits and pieces. I've got oregano from the garden I want to shove in. I've got some thyme. I just went out and went crazy with the snippers, cutting things off. I also have up the back here some cabbage and some leek. Oh, there we go. Wait for the camera. But you can see at the moment, they're not going to fit in the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next step, chop this down. We may use our spatula. That's okay. So it says 10 seconds, speed 6. Let me grab my spatula out. Only use your Thermomix spatula because it's got the collar on it that stops things getting, stops the spatula being. Spatula getting cut by the blades was what I was getting at. Now you'll notice when we open this up now, we are significantly down on our volume now. We are down to about 1.5. So I now have enough capacity. Normally you'd go on with the recipe, right? But I want to put in these sad looking leeks from the garden that have been hanging out for a while in the fridge. Is it going to make it a little more oniony? Yeah, won't matter. And I've got a sad looking cabbage leftovers. It will make it go funny coloured. Okay, so now all I do is I push the back step and do that step again. Okay, so 10 seconds, speed 6. Now all you want to do here is check if there's any big, large chunks left. If there is, push the back arrow, do it again. Sometimes there's one hunk of carrot or something, and you'll notice most of the time my veggies were smaller than the size of the measuring cup hole. That ensures that the food actually goes down and hits those blades and doesn't bounce on top. So let's have a look. A couple of leeks that are still a bit big there. I don't know if you guys can see. So we'll just give it one more scrape down. Push them down to the bottom a bit. And let's do that one more time. So back arrow, I shouldn't need my spatula this time. Next, and 10 seconds. Oh, hang on. Try again. 10 seconds, speed 6, off it goes. Oh, it's done. Can you hear that? That free spinning. The free spinning indicates that we've actually, everything's out to the sides. 99% of the time it is complete. You can leave it keep going. It will not damage your Thermomix. If you did that to a standard style blender, you're going to have challenges because it starts overheating. But because we're pushing with magnets inside, there's no heat created. All right, so I stopped it early anyway, just because of the sound. So you can see here I've got, I'll just let the air out of it because that air pocket was what was making it free spin. We've got about 1 point, oh, there's a little bit of leak there, but that's okay. I'm happy with that. It'll cook down and then we'll blend it. All right, so, messy cook. Anyone else a messy cook in the kitchen? All right, next. Okay, 150 grams of rock salt. Now this, people go, oh my goodness, Lisa, that's a lot. Can I pull it down? If you pull this down, it is actually going to allow your food to go off faster. Okay, even in the fridge, which is where we store this. You're actually better off just to use a smaller portion per recipe. So if it says use 1 tablespoon in your recipe, just use, you know, half a tablespoon or a little more than half a tablespoon, whatever it is that suits your taste buds, rather than reducing the salt, okay? Your commercial store-bought stock cubes and that, they are salt, a whole lot of salt. You would never lick them, okay? We are not going to taste test this, not on its own. I've seen people do that when I've delivered Thermomixes years ago, when we used to bring them to your homes and teach you how to do this. Don't. It tastes like salt, okay? It's supposed to, just like those stock cubes, okay? So this is not a eat it on its own thing. Okay, it is a flavor enhancer that goes into foods, and it's a small amount. Today I shared with you on Facebook, those of you over there, you saw my favorite massive mince cook, yeah? And in that recipe, excuse me while I grab some more, it calls for 2 tablespoons of this. However, you're making like 2.5 litres worth of veggie hidden mince mix. So like that's 2.5 litres with 2 tablespoons of this in. And if you want to then think about how much salt there is in 2 tablespoons, it's probably like, I don't know, a pinch, an eighth of a teaspoon of salt in that, like in that. So like that's not much. There's a lot more veggies than salt. So don't stress over that is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, next up it says some oil. I've never ever put the oil in it. I'm going to continue to not put the oil in it. Okay, lid on. We're going to take our measuring cup out, okay, because we're cooking over 90 degrees. We're putting a simmering basket in place, or you can put your Vorwerk in place. Now you have a 20-minute cook time, and I told you I was going to tell you what else you could do with this recipe. If you'd like, you can be putting your Vorwerk in place and put some eggs in it and boil some eggs on top. When I say boil, you're steaming them, but in 20 minutes that will do some eggs. If you want to cut up strips of chicken, put them on your tray of your Vorwerk with some baking paper under it and some veggies in the bowl part underneath the Vorwerk. You can cook that in 20 minutes. There's a lot of things you can use the steam that's going to be created from this to do. And the beauty of it is as well, if it's not cooked in that 20 minutes, just hit the back arrow and do another 10 minutes and it will be done. The only thing you want to watch is I mentioned chicken on the baking paper. You don't want the chicken juice in with your veggie stock, okay, because it's going to reduce the lifespan of that veggie stock because it's a protein being added to a purely vegetable-based dish. Does that make sense? So just make sure it doesn't cross-contaminate. There are, or there used to be, Vorwerk trays in the mix shop, which was a stainless steel tray. Looked like a plate, a serving plate that you could put on the Vorwerk tray. It was stainless steel, and it would actually then let the chicken cook. I don't know if that's still available, but that would stop those juices getting down into your food below. All right, but typically I would do eggs and stuff on top, and then you've got your boiled eggs for the day. How cool is that? So yeah, this on top, otherwise your Vorwerk on top with something else cooking, 20 minutes. And all I do differently is just spin up the temperature from 120, go 1 notch further to Vorwerk. And now that's going to put some steam up, and I would increase my speed to speed 2 because it just pushes that steam up a little faster. Okay, and then you get 20-minute cook time. Beautiful, hey? So that's how easy it is to make veggie stock in your Thermomix. Key takeaways: make sure your veggies are small enough to fit through the blade shaft. Always keep your total volume under your max line, okay? And otherwise, that's it. Like, it's so easy. Hello, Rach. I love to see you on from Singapore. But yeah, that's veggie stock. If you're on YouTube, you'll get to come back in a second. I'll show you the blend step in 20 minutes time, which for you will be when I stop and start again. For those of you on Facebook, feel free to check that out later. If I can help you with anything regarding your Thermomix, don't hesitate to reach out. I love to hear from you, but this needs to be in your fridge. It is such a cost saver. No more buying liquid stock. By the way, 1 tablespoon, to half a litre of water. Typically, our personal preference is actually to a litre. 1 tablespoon to 1 whole litre of water. We don't do that much salt around here, and that's how we like to use it if we're making a liquid stock. But otherwise, on a family serve of 4 to 6, it's usually a flat tablespoon worth of stock when something calls for salt. And I skip the salt out altogether, okay? So if I'm making something that says add a teaspoon of salt, it'll be a flat tablespoon. And when I say flat, you guys know I don't actually use a tablespoon, right? I just use a spoon. But it's not like a massive heap, it's just flat. Otherwise it's too salty for us. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you'll make your veggie stock. Okay, put it on your to-dos, look in your fridge, what have you got? Maybe you don't have enough in there now, chop up what you got, put it in the freezer, in a freezer bag, ready for when you've got enough to make the next batch. But have a lovely day, take care, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now. Okay, welcome back. We've finished the 20-minute cook time, and it tells us now to insert our measuring cup. But before we do, a couple of things, little safety things along the way. When you take this off, you can just lift it off. The steam's not so bad. But when you go in a second to actually take the lid off, always open your lid away from you. Don't be tempted to sneak peek Otherwise the steam will get you, okay? I just wanted to give you a sneak peek though of what the inside now looks like. You may find that there's a little bit of salt left on the top still. Doesn't really particularly matter if there is at this point, but usually you don't even really bother with a sneak peek. You normally just do what it says, right? You put the measuring cup in place and it says 1 minute, speed 9. So with speed 9, we go, as you can see across the bottom, we go to speed 5. And then we increase gradually to speed 9, so we get rid of any remaining chunks on the way. I won't try and talk over it. Stop after 30 seconds and it's silky smooth. I decided to let it go through to a minute. Now, if you don't do that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 gradually, you'll notice sometimes the food will stick to the outside of the bowl. You've increased it too quickly, and so that will happen. But really, it's a safety feature. So that at speed 5, it's getting rid of any chunks remaining, and then as you go up, it's getting rid of any other chunks on the way. Remember, open the lid away from you. See how that steam needs to go away? Flip your lid upside down, especially if you're new Thermomix owner. It's a really good habit to put it down on the bench upside down. If you put it up right way up, you end up with a ring of food everywhere. And look at that, veggie stock. How cool is that? Now, couple of things to note at this point in time, all right? Don't use your same spatula you used earlier to scrape down your fresh food. Why? It's not cooked. Okay, so therefore it's not as clean, it's not sterile as once you've cooked off your food, right? So grab yourself, either wash it beforehand or grab yourself, in my case, a new spatula. Okay, now to get it into a jar, okay, and I would suggest if you've got a glass jar, have one that is your veggie stock jar. I do have one that's got a label on it that says veggie stock as well. Don't know where that is at the moment. It might be getting used for something else. We're bringing in a lot of tomatoes from the garden. It might be being used for that. Now, your lid of your Thermomix is your funnel, okay? So this goes on top. Now, there's two ways you can do this. This lid's not that dirty, okay? If it was something like a soup, it might be all splattery and it might be covered in red stuff. This one's not so bad. I can go this way, okay? You can alternatively go this way. It really depends on what you're pouring. All it's doing is it's giving you something to aim for, but any leftovers doesn't go down the outside of your jar. And they remain on here and you can scrape them in. Really easy, hey? So let's see if I can swing you to the back without it causing too much hassle. Where's my... I'm not very good at driving cameras. I'll put you at the back here. All right. I'll show you how it goes. Maybe. Come on, little camera. Can just get you in. There we go. So it's literally a matter. Now I've got nearly 2 litres. I'm using my clean spatula. And you'll notice it's so thick that it doesn't really pour well, which is why that hole in the measuring cup is so handy, because I can kind of push it to it. See how I'm pushing it in? And can you see how the bits I miss? It's no big deal because they're sitting on top of that lid. Okay? And then I can just get my spatula, leave a little bit of a gap at the top because obviously it's hot. It's going to expand. Now I need another jar. Yeah, it's not all fitting. With your leftovers, that is, oh, this smells divine. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Every time you make it, you're like, oh. Now, what was I going to say? Okay, the leftovers. Now I'm going to put more in a jar, but then there's going to be a residue in that bowl, okay? Don't let that go to waste. There's no need. Just put some water in your bowl. Just tap water, say 250 mils a cup, 300 mils, and put it on speed 10 for a couple of seconds. Make sure your lid's on, measuring cup in place. It'll be pretty cool, your bowl by then anyway. And now you've got liquid stock. You've got 1 cup worth of liquid stock that you can use on a risotto. You can use it, I'm going to use it as in my roast lamb tomorrow. Like, you don't need that bowl to go to waste. And then your bowl is actually, by that stage, 95% clean. You just rinse it, put it upside down on the sink, and you're good to go. So it's as simple as that. Okay, transfer to a sealable container, place in a refrigerator until ready to use. See the tips. If you're looking for tips when you're on the screen of the Thermomix, 3 dots, recipe details, go all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so 1 tablespoon, and I said this earlier, is roughly 1 store-bought stock cube. To make veggie stock, use 1 tablespoon per 500 grams of water, so half a litre. That's where I said I use less than that. Okay, I use it for 1 litre. You can store it in a sealable container in the refrigerator for several months. The salt in the recipe is used as a preservative. When mixed with the water as described above, the stock will not taste too salty. If you wish to increase the salt in this recipe, decrease, they recommend you store it in the freezer. And I know lots of you do store it in the freezer as well. As I said, I would stick to the recipe, but I just use less in my food. Okay. Small quantities of sea vegetables such as dulse, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, aren't I? Dulce, is that it? I'm not even pronouncing the other ones, can be added to the stock for extra flavour and nutrients. So it does have tips. You can see there's variations down the bottom as well. But hope this has given you the confidence to give it a go. If you're still buying it, this is a really great way to save money. And it's a fantastic flavour enhancer. Like, you will not regret making this. You'll actually regret when you don't have it and you're like, oh, I gotta make my next batch. And as I said, it can be really inexpensive to make. Use your leftover scraps that you're putting in the bin, okay? Put them in the freezer and use them. You can be putting cauliflower, you can put broccoli stems, you can use like Asian greens. Like, there's nothing, you know, that you kind of, the only thing I'd say, don't use potatoes, sweet potatoes. I've used pumpkin skins before. Like, there's all those things that you can put into it. Just be mindful of, and I shared this at the beginning, you know, how much runny kind of style veggies there are as opposed to starchier style. I wouldn't go and put a whole ton of carrots in. It's going to end up too thick and dense. It'll still be tasty. It'll still be good. It's just going to take a bit more effort to get it to the paste. You'll notice it'll stick to the sides and stuff. But just reach out. If you get stuck on that step, reach out. That's what I'm here for. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this today. I hope there's hints and tips for you. Remember to share these videos. If you've got a friend or family member with a Thermomix and they don't make stock, share this with them, okay? Say, hey, have you made this? Do this. And remember, of course, if you're not a subscriber over at TMX Adventures, jump over there now. Subscribe. Shortly there'll be a new monthly focus that we're going to do, another series I'm excited to share with you, so that'll come out on the emails in the next week or so. But otherwise, have a fantastic day. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.